Hey, so making a video about weekly calls. So everybody's like, what's a weekly call? Okay, well, first up, if you're a new coach or you have coaches underneath you, you should be doing weekly calls. So when I first started, I used to just do the one-on-ones with everybody, and if they wanted to set something up, they could. But I have come to find out that a lot of people are not taking advantage of the one-on-ones, so I have stepped it up and I'm working around them. So, as an example, I want to be able to keep them motivated and going, and that's really hard to do when I'm not able to chat with them and personally on the phone. So, I have set up, it's called a weekly call, and every single week they get 15 minutes. I have it in my phone. I tell them to put it in their phone, same exact time every single week. When I'm doing that and why I'm doing that is so that I can keep them motivated, answer questions, give them weekly goals to hit. So, I have a weekly call sheet. And it literally is week 1, 2, 3. So there's 3 weeks on one thing so that you can kind of keep track of what they're doing. Now I have put mine in a 3-ring binder so that I can keep track of all my coaches and make sure that they're doing, their goals for the week, that they're hitting what they want to hit, and then I can see where they're struggling and if they're still struggling each week so we can talk about different things. So on my weekly calls, I have literally, I'm going to change up this last one for you guys so it'll be different looking for you. But it will say date. So you're going to put the date and the time that you talk to them. So number 1, I break it up. It says, how many Success Club points do you have? So I put how many they have at the time. So as an example, I'm going to talk about my husband's from the other night. So he's at Success Club 0 right now. I asked him how many he'd like for the month. So then I put a dash and I put Success Club 5 because that is something that he'd like to hit for the month. And I asked him, I'm like, what would you like to be at by next week when we talk? And he said Success Club 4. So I put 3 different Success Club points. You can kind of see. They're just little dashes between each one so that I can keep track of what he's doing Success Club wise. Then number 2 is how many people have you talked to about challenge groups? So in the last week. So how many people have you talked about challenge groups in the last week? His was 0 at the time, more for the fact that he said that he was talking to people but hadn't got to the challenge group stuff yet. Number 3 is how many people have you talked to about coaching? So now your number for that should be about the same as number 2. So say you were talking to 14 people. If you talk to 14 people about challenge groups and you got through to them and they're ready to buy, they should also be in that number of talking about coaching because there's 2 different options you can give them for when they're buying. All of that will be below in the file for the copy and paste stuff for you guys to use. So you need to let them know that there's 2 different options when buying. Number 4, this is the one that's going to be changing, but this is what I asked them. What are you struggling with? So like Brandon's was finding people. And I've had others where the conversations drop off. Stuff like that. So this is where you, as a coach, get to go through and help them. Because most of the time people don't like to talk about their struggles. I get it. But if you don't get help, we can't solve that problem. So that is where it's going to be really nice as a coach that we can go through and help them with things. So first off, right away with Brandon, I'm like, your goals. So then I literally wrote it right over on the side. I put your goals. Success Club 4, you want to hit that. So let's hit Success Club 4 by next week. And then I told him, I was like, finding people. I'm like, we're going to talk about this a little bit. I'm like, first off, let's dig through your Facebook. I'm like, let's change your profile picture. You have a picture with sunglasses on right now. People can't see you, and they might think that you're a creeper. Guys especially have to be very careful, and you don't want to have like a really yuck face on in your photo. You want to make sure you're pretty, smiling, nice. And your cover photo, I'm like, make sure your cover photo is fantastic. That you're not just like puking beach body all over them. That it's you, what you're doing. Like mine says, I'm happily married, mother of 3, fitness lover, and I have my before and after on there, business owner. I'm like, I put a lot of my 5 passions on there. So I told him, like, your Facebook should be your 5 passions. So I'm literally giving him a ton of things. I'm like, I hope you got a pen. So I'm like, your Facebook should be based around your 5 passions. So his is faith, family, fitness, food, beach body. And I tell him things that he can post about with faith. How to do it so he gets more comments, how he gets more likes, how he gets more interaction. So I'm like, I don't want you just to be posting motivational things, where they just put the quotes. I'm like, I don't want you to be doing that. I want you to dig deep. What did you learn at church? How do you apply it to your life? I was like, I want you to dig and be raw about it. I'm like, family, anything you're doing with your family. I'm like, you need to be taking pictures of your boys. You need to be taking pictures of what you're doing. I'm like, anything you're doing is considered family with that. So if you're cooking out, if you're going to the beach, stuff like that, I'm like, have fun with your photos. Fitness, I'm like, fitness is a wide range. So it can be him working out. It can be even what he's eating, because that is considered fitness for me for the posting. So like, he's eating good, but now he has food. So I told him, like, you're gonna have to, use these in 2 different ways, which I might make him change one of his so that it's more about him. But so fitness, and I literally break each one up. So then he has food and Beachbody, and I'm like, Beachbody can be transformational photos, things from your challenge groups, and I literally give him just lots of ideas of how to post. So I'm like, your Facebook has to be based around these 5 passions so people can figure out right away. So when people can figure you out, they're gonna want to become your friend. They see what you're like and what you're about. So right away, you want to make sure your Facebook is good. So if your Facebook is not good, go take a half hour and make it good. Take one day, make sure you nail down your 5 posts, and then you need to keep at it. So if you're not consistent, it's not going to work. So the 5 passions. Then I told him, I'm like, I want you to go find 5 groups. Nothing to do about Beachbody, nothing to do about fitness, and I want you to go find 5 groups and comment at least once a day in every single group. And like, at least once a day in every single group. Then, like, I told him, like, you need to change your profile picture. And then I told him, I'm like, you need to set up weekly one-on-ones with your coaches. So those were his goals for the week. But now I kind of dug into him a little bit about, how to find people. I'm like, you talking to people on those groups is just going to build a relationship. I'm like, you need to build some relationships, and that's how you're going to find people. There's lots of different ways to find people, and I have a video about that too for you guys, but you can find them in challenge groups. You can, search for them. You can get them off your like pages. There's a lot of different ways you can find people in different places that you can do them too. So just make sure that you're opening up to everything. But then I was like, those are your goals. That's it. I took 15 minutes, got through it with him, and I'm like, next week, we're going to go over your goals again. I have the same questions for you, and I want to make sure that you have all of your weekly one-on-ones set up with your coaches so that you're keeping in contact with them too. Pass down what you learn. So, and then if he has other questions, I can always help him with all that. But that is the weekly one-on-ones. There's a file for you just to print out. Do it with your coaches and make sure you're, keeping in contact with them. If you have any questions, please let me know.